So Jim Lee reassures fans that DC Comics will continue to publish comic books. Before I get too far into that, my comic book, Malevolent Rising issue number 5, is currently live and funding on Indiegogo, so please check that out if you get a chance and consider supporting the book. Issues 1 through 4 are also available on the campaign, so I really hope you give that a chance. So Jim Lee has come out and he's assured us that DC Comics will continue to publish comic books now and forever. So even though I'm more of a Marvel guy, really my journey in comic books started with the 1989 Batman movie. I saw that movie as a kid and literally started collecting comic books the next day. And I've been an invested fan ever since. And most people who I know that collect comic books have a similar story to mine. And over the years, DC Comics has given us some of the most iconic characters in the history of history. I mean, you can go to most corners of the earth and somebody knows who Superman and Batman are, let alone the adventures that have really entertained and inspired us over all these years. But lately, not all is well in the House of DC. Sales are grim, and it's due mostly to a combination of bad creative choices, superheroes acting so out of character that we barely recognize them, and a good old-fashioned injection of identity politics. Not to mention so many reboots that, as fans, we don't know whether we're coming or going. So if the old fans are confused, imagine how difficult it is right now for a new fan to try to jump on and get invested in the line. DC Comics needs to remember what made it great. It needs to give us more of this and less of this. More of this and less... DC Comics, in short, needs to remind us who they are. They need to remember that they are the ones that started this. Superman is the OG superhero. We criticize you now when you're bad because we've seen what you can do when you're great. So it's not enough that you just keep churning out mediocre comic books. You need to remind us who DC is, what it stands for, and give us a reason to read again. Now, I've always suggested that DC Comics is really, and Marvel, honestly, one of the reasons they get to stay around for so long is because, and print out this type of content, is because ever since they've been bought by big corporate entities now that are too big to fail, that need to make a profit doesn't exist anymore because the bills are getting paid no matter what. They're just small subsidiaries of great big holes. And even though they're losing money left and right, these larger companies, they don't want it on their record that they bought an institution like DC Comics that has literally existed for 100 years and ran it into bankruptcy. That's just bad for their shareholders. They don't want that visual. Same with Disney and Marvel, even though I think Marvel probably has a lot larger chasm to fall than DC. So anyway, short video today, but that's my thought on the matter. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think DC Comics is safe? Do you believe Jim Lee when he says what he's saying? I mean, some people are saying that print media is dead, but manga sales have shown us otherwise. Do you read DC, or do you read any DC Comics anymore? Do you like the Omniverse? Do you think that's a good direction going forward, or do we need a more back-to-basics approach? And let's just see these superheroes fighting supervillains again. Have you given up on the comics industry entirely? Let me know in the comments below. We'll do all the talking, and we'll go back and forth. And while you're there, please hit like and subscribe. Help the channel grow. And thanks so much for taking a little bit of time to talk about this subject with me. Comic books are near and dear to my heart. You know, I create comics myself. I've been reading them forever, and I definitely want to see them grow. I did a video before where I speculated on the future of the comics industry and why I think it's going to be around a lot longer than I think some people speculate that it will be. But I'll put a link to that in the description below, as well as a link to my Indiegogo campaign. I hope you check that out, and I hope you come back and see me on the next video. See you then. Bye.